Everyone, and welcome to a class with Emilie Fincher Yoga. That is me right there. Today you're going to need two blocks or two block-like things. Books work really well. Anything similar that you can rest your hands on, bring the floor a little closer to you. Let's get started on our backs today. So grab one of your blocks or block-like objects. You're going to lie down on the floor, bend the knees, just pick the hips up, tuck the hips under, set them back down again, so we're feeling nice and neutral through the pelvis and long through the lower back. Place your something between your knees, and we're going to squeeze on nice and tight here. Now if you want this a little easier, bring the knees in nice and close. If you want it a little more tricky, take them further away from you. I'm going to go in a nice medium knees over the hips. My arms are out by my sides, and I think about the upper back staying on the floor here. And as I squeeze my block, I'm gently going to rock the knees from side to side. Moving nice and slowly here, we're just looking to wake up our hip flexors, wake up our midsection. Thinking about the lower back pressing down into the floor here. Working with your breath. An inhale as you rock one way, and exhale as you rock the other way. And then popping that block off to the side. So here we're going to keep the knees bent, reach the arms up toward the ceiling, and then we're going to rock off to one side. So I'm lying on my right side here, and I'm taking my left arm, dragging it across me and over to the other side, and then taking it back in the opposite direction. So it's like I'm dragging, opening my chest into a twist, and then sending it back. It's almost like I'm drawing a bow and arrow, that kind of action. This time my lower body stays stable on the floor. It's my upper body that's moving here. And from there, that top hand, it's like I'm drawing the numbers on a clock here. And when I open out to 3 o'clock, I've got my arms open, down to 6, 9, and up to 12. Drawing those circles with that top hand. Moving through the shoulder, moving through the back here. Working with your breath. And then let's come up through center, take a little hug of the knees, whatever you need to do to reset, and then we'll take the other side. So rolling over, hands reaching out in front of you, and then we drag that top arm across the chest and open, and then send it back in the same direction. A nice big inhale is nice here as you open up. I like to follow my hand with my gaze here, so I'm moving my neck as well. Remember, the lower body stays nice and still. And then starting to take that top hand in circles. So notice here that I rotate to kind of draw the biggest circles I possibly can. It's like I've got a paintbrush on those fingertips. I like to inhale as I open up and exhale as I close that circle. Rolling back onto the back, take a moment to rock backwards and forwards. If it feels good, rocking your way up to a seated position. Otherwise, meet us in a seated position in whatever way feels good for you. Sitting in Sukhasana with the legs crossed. Sitting nice and even on the sit bones here. Take a little wiggle through the shoulders, sitting up nice and tall. And I'm going to grab my left hand, flex the wrist, and really push that palm of the hand away from me as I rock my head over to the right hand side. Having a play here with turning my chin down, turning my chin up, and then I can have a little play with straightening out my wrist and moving my head. So as I lift my head up, I bend my wrist. As I lower it down, I bend it the other way. Take a little wiggle. Let's do the other side. So pressing out the right hand. That shoulders nice and far away from the ear. Rock the head over to the opposite side and just have a play with turning the chin down, turning the chin up. See what feels good as a stretch for your neck. And then having a play here with flexing and extending that wrist as you gently rock the head up and over to the left side. Wiggling through that shoulder again. I'm going to take my right hand across the body. It grabs the left knee. I reach my left hand out, and then I sweep it open like I'm drawing a semicircle with my fingertips here. Once you've found your full twist, open your arms up. So we pick the hand off the knee like you're going to hug someone beside you. Take that hand back down to the knee. We're going to turn forward and reach that hand straight up to the ceiling. And then let's bend ourselves over to the right hand side, looking for a nice stretch, lots of space between the ribs here. Really breathing into that left side of the body. Let's bring ourselves up, and this time we're going to take that left hand either to the hip, behind the body, or even around the body, around the waist. So we're all tangled up here. Let's rock the head over to the right hand side. Again, having a little play with turning the chin down, maybe turning it up to the ceiling, finding that perfect sweet spot, that perfect stretch for your neck, and then spending a couple deep breaths there, really breathing up high into the chest here. Bringing yourself back through center, a little wriggle through the shoulders. Let's do the same thing, other side. Left hand reaches across the body, right hand reaches forward, and then we open it out, drawing that semicircle, twisting as much as you can. When you're there, lift that front hand up as well. So using our torso muscles to keep us here. Let's bring that front hand down to the knee, reach that hand forward, up, and then let's tip over. Nice lateral side bend. Let's bring ourselves up, take that floating hand either to the hip, behind, or around the body. You can grab your shirt, your pants, whatever feels good here. And then once again, we soften our head to the opposite side, so over toward the left. Having a play with gently, mindfully turning the chin down, turning the chin up, finding that perfect stretch for you. And then once you've got it, let's bring ourselves up through center. This time we've got hands on both knees. Thinking about a little paintbrush in the center of your chest here. And like we're trying to draw a circle with that paintbrush. So we're rocking our ribs around in circles. So I can go really big if I kind of let this get into my hips. And if that's what feels good, go for it. But I'm really going to focus on my chest here. And then if you find any sticky spots, you can kind of hang out there for a moment, kind of go over them once, twice. And taking your circles in both directions as well. Alright, thinking about taking that paintbrush that was in the center of our heart, let's take it onto the tips of our shoulders here. And I'm just noticing that as I rock forward and as I rock back, what my shoulder paintbrushes are doing. So my shoulder blades separate as I rock forward, and my shoulder blades come together as I pull back. And then I'm going to bring my arms into this movement here. So coming up into nice cactus arms as I rock forward, I touch the forearms, and as I rock back, I open the chest. Rocking forward, stretch the skin on the back body, and opening up, stretch the skin across the chest. Let's take a couple more, keep it going, I'm just moving. Inhale, open up the front body. Exhale. And as you inhale, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Beautiful. Extend the arms behind you. That feels so nice. Relaxing back. Let's come onto our hands and knees. Setting yourself up in a nice stable tabletop. Knees are under hips. Wrists are under shoulders. Really spread the fingers. Press each and every single knuckle down into the floor. And then opening the left arm up toward the ceiling. Let's reach under. We're not going to rest down. These are nice and active. We inhale as we reach up, and exhale as we reach down and under, threading the needle here. Inhale as we reach up, and exhale as we reach down and under. And then let's come to rest the shoulder, rest the cheek on the floor. Take your hand wherever feels good. And then I have a play. I always rock my hips away from the side that I'm facing. So I'm turning to the right side now. Have a play with rocking the hips over to the left. Let's come back to our tabletop. Same thing, other side. Inhale, right hand up. Exhale, thread it through. Inhale, bring it straight back up. And send it through. Let's do one last. Inhale, reach it up. And then reaching that hand through and down. Come to rest on the shoulder, on the cheek. Take your hand wherever feels good. And have a play with rocking your hips from side to side. See where you feel the best twist, the best stretch for you. From there, come back to your nice stable tabletop. And I'm going to think here, I've got my hands stable on the floor, really pressing down. And then I'm going to draw circles over them with my shoulders here. So just as far as feels good on my wrists, really driving my fingers down into the floor. So not only am I stretching my wrists, but I am strengthening them. And then rocking around in circles. Let's go both directions. Beautiful. And then let's do the same thing with our shoulders. So think about taking your shoulder chips up to the ears, back behind you, down to the hips, and down to the floor. So you'll see here that my elbows aren't bending. Yes, I'm moving, but that's just because my shoulders move here. My shoulders are the only things that are moving here. Watching those elbows. This is a tricky thing to get used to, so lots of practice here. Send your circles in both directions. I always find it so much harder one way than the other. And then here, practicing some spinal segmentation. So it's like our cat-cow, but I'm moving from my hips, coming into a nice back bend. Finally, my head moves. And then again, moving from the hips, I tuck my hips under, and vertebra by vertebra, I round my back. Head comes very last. Let's do that again, starting from the hips. And then once you're in a full happy cat kind of shape, we start from the hips and come into a full angry cat kind of shape. Let's do one more. Feeling like each and every vertebra can move independently. Maybe it doesn't feel like that, but that's kind of what we're going for. All right. From there, let's sit back towards our heels. Bring your elbows in nice and close. Forearms rest on the ground. I'm in a tiny little ball here. And then I'm going to really drive my right forearm down into the floor. Take your left fingertips behind the head as you inhale, lift up. So I'm drawing semicircles with my elbow point here. So now that we've set the hips back on the heels here, they're not moving anywhere. So this twist has got to come from our upper back. This might feel really limited for you. This is a beautiful thing to practice. Let's do the other side. So right hand comes behind the head, and we're drawing semicircles with that elbow point. As always, working at your own pace. You might want to go a little slower than me. And then let's press back up onto our hands and knees. Let's tuck the toes under and come up into our first downward facing dog. So we lift the hips up and back. We're making that kind of triangle shape between our mat and our body. And bend one leg, straighten the other. Take any movements here that you want to take to get familiar with this shape, comfortable in this shape. So taking a nice twist here, you can grab the ankle, the knee, the hip, you can pop your hand on the floor. But we're thinking about taking one hand kind of through the body over to the opposite leg. Now let's take the other hand over to the opposite leg, having a play with maybe looking under your armpit, looking off to the side, grabbing wherever feels good. It might be the floor. Coming up high on the toes, swivel the feet over to the right-hand side of your mat. Turn your hips to the right-hand side of your mat. And think about taking a nice stretch through the side body here. So I come up high on the toes, turn my heels to the left side, rock my hips over, and I'm thinking about being really long through that side of the body. Coming back to your regular downward facing dog. Taking a few little rocks from side to side here. And then starting to walk your feet up behind your wrists. Bend the knees quite generously here. Let's come into a nice ragdoll. And then roll our way up. Vertebra by vertebra, we come to standing. Take a few rolls of the shoulders as we get to the top. Nice. And then let's come to stand in our Tadasana. So feet hips distance apart. So pick up the toes, spread them out, pop them down. Thinking about turning your tailbone to point down towards the floor. Your lower belly is on here. You feel nice and active. Lower ribs press down, so our abs are on just a little bit, not so much we can't breathe. Palms face forward. We feel open through the chest. Soften your face. Standing at the top of your mat. Let's inhale as we reach the hands overhead, and exhale as we bow all the way forward, folding at the hips. Let's come to our halfway lift, so palms to shins. And thinking about making a nice tabletop back here. So you can look slightly forward Bringing hands down to the floor, let's step our right foot back. Drop the right knee to the floor. You might want to support under your right knee here, coming into a low lunge, thinking about tucking the hips under again. You're pointing your tailbone down towards the floor behind you. Reach the arms up overhead, really tucking the tailbone, trying to find a stretch of the quad. And then taking those same wings as we did before. So with our cactus arms, we hunch the back forward as we come forward. And as we inhale, we open your wings out, open through the chest here. Taking your right hand across the body, grabs that front knee, and we're going to twist ourselves open, reaching the back arm back. You can take a gaze to those back fingertips if it feels good. Reaching down towards your back toes here, strong through the belly. I'm going to lift that back knee up, or the back foot up, but I'm not going to grab on at all. So it's tempting to, but I'm just holding it there. That makes for a strong hamstrings. Let's bring the hands to the floor, tuck the back toe, come off the knee, and we're going to step back to our downward facing dog. Remember, you can come through your tabletop here if that feels a bit better. From our downward facing dog, let's step our right foot forward. Coming into a low lunge, remember, support under the knee if you like. Keep the lower belly strong, lower ribs tucked in, and let's reach the arms overhead, looking for that quad stretch in the back leg. Coming to your wings, breathe it forward and breathe it open and back. Send it forward, open and back. Nice cactus arms, sending it forward and open and back. One last time, forward, and open and back. Let's reach that left arm across the body this time. Reaching the other arm back, really pressing that front knee into the hand as much as you press the hand into the knee. Let's lift up the back foot, not grabbing on, we're using our hamstrings here. Let's turn ourselves forward, bring the hands down to the floor, come up high off the back knee, and this time we're going to spring ourselves forward into our Uttanasana forward folds. Inhale for your halfway lift. You can bring the hands to the shins, the thighs, or even the floor if you're feeling it. Make sure you can keep a nice long spine. Inhale as we press down to rise up, hands overhead, hands in front of heart, and back to our Tadasana. Alright, so now is a good time to keep your blocks within reaching distance. I'm going to turn to face you, but stay where you are. Coming back to our Tadasana, let's take the weight into the right leg. We come up on the left toes. As you lift the arms up overhead, you might like to bring that knee with you. And then we send it back into a high lunge, into our arrowhead pose. So we land lightly on the back toes here. Sweep the arms up, coming into your high lunge. Remember, you can bend or straighten that back leg, whatever feels good. I want you to be stable here. From our high lunge, we're going to reach that back hand forward, forward hand back, coming into a twisted lunge here. Coming into your warrior two, from there that back heel comes down to the floor. Still got that same foot forward, thinking about the lower back being nice and long here, gazing over that front middle finger. Straighten out that front leg here, so your feet stay as they are. I'm going to grab my block and pop it on the inside of my foot, reaching towards the front of the mat, lowering your arm down. Either we're grabbing the knee, the shin, or perhaps going for our block. Top arm reaches up. We feel really open through the chest here. Lower back still nice and long. Keeping that top arm as it is, I'm just going to bend into my front knee. Coming into a nice side angle pose. You can keep that arm reaching up, or you can turn the palm to the front and reach up and overhead, looking for the feeling of a nice long line between my back foot and my fingertips. Come back to your warrior two. Let's straighten out the front leg. And we're going to turn ourselves towards the front here. So I've still got my left foot forward, right foot back. I'm going to move my block from the inside of my foot to the outside of my foot. Beautiful. Reaching the opposite arm back, we're going to reach forward and across the body here. So that arm comes across the body to come down to your block. Find your balance here first. Once you do feel balanced, you can start to open that top shoulder, twisting across the body, reaching that top arm up only if it feels good, only if you're feeling quite balanced here. Really driving down into that block. to help your balance. Bring yourself back forward, untwisting, and lifting up. We're going to step that back foot in slightly, thinking about your chest and your hips pointing forward here. I'm going to fold forward over that front leg, looking for a feeling of lengthening in that front leg. My fingertips can come to the floor, they can come to my shin, or I can grab my blocks, take them either side of that front foot, and fold forward. Watching that back hip doesn't lift up too much or go awry too much. Bringing yourself up to standing, we're going to step that back leg in. Beautiful. Landing in our Tadasana, just moving my blocks out of the way so I don't trip over. It's important. Again, I'm taking weight into the right leg this time. Inhale as we, left leg. Inhale as we lift the right leg up. Exhale as you send it back into your arrowhead pose. Breathing the arms up for your high lunge. And then from our high lunge on the opposite side, we're coming into our twisted lunge, a nice long line from fingertips to fingertips. Inhale as we come up, and then exhale to settle yourself into your warrior two. Thinking nice and long through the lower back, strong through the glutes here. Thinking about your sternum over your belly button, over your pubic bone. Straightening out that front leg, go for your block on the inside of the front foot if you like. We start to reach forward, just watching we're not hyperextending through that knee. Bringing the bottom hand to your shin, the block, maybe the floor if you're feeling it, reaching the top hand up. So both my shoulder blades are on my back here. A little bit of energy coming through that top hand. We then bend the front knee coming into our side angle. Option to reach the hand up to the ceiling. Noticing that there's almost a feeling of a twist here or a rotation. I've got to keep my body rotated to stay open. Straightening out that front leg, I'm going to turn my back foot, turn my hips, turn my chest. Beautiful. So left leg forward, right leg back. I'm going to take my block, take it from the inside of my front foot to the outside of my front foot. Reaching my right arm up. I come all the way forward, hand comes to the block, I find my balance first, and then I start to twist open across the body. Option to keep the hand on the hip or option to reach it up. Traditionally, gaze is up to the top fingers, but I say keep your gaze where your neck feels good. Untangling yourself, we're going to lift ourselves up. Shorten your stance just a little bit, and then you've got your options of blocks. Keeping the chest, the hips all facing forward, all in line, we fold forward. So our gaze here is on that front big toe, feeling nice and open through the upper back. Lifting yourself up, stepping that back leg forward. Finding ourselves in our Tadasana again. I'm popping my blocks to the side. And then I'm standing down on my right leg here. I'm going to lift the left knee. And then I'm going to grab on with my left hand around the front of the knee. You might want to grab the back, the pants, wherever you've got, but once you're feeling pretty good about this, we're holding onto the front of the knee. Watch here, you're not leaning forward. We're standing up really tall, keeping your shoulders in line, especially that shoulder that's grabbing onto the leg. Floating foot is flexed. And then keeping the hips stable, we gently guide that knee out to the side, as far as is comfortable. Bring it forward, reach the hands up, and gently set the foot down. Take a little wiggle. Let's do the other side. So weight down in the left leg. Let's come up on the right toes, maybe lifting that knee, grabbing on. Watching we don't have that kind of hip sticky outiness. Keep it reined in here, really using your hip stabilizing muscles. Hip sticky outiness, that's the anatomical term. Standing up nice and tall, nice and proud, we gently guide that knee out to the side. You can challenge your balance here by looking in the opposite direction. Bringing everything back through center, let's lift the arms, keep that knee lifted, nice challenge here, and set it down nice and slow. Beautiful, little wiggle, nice job. Alright, let's do the same thing, but we can ramp it up a little bit if you're feeling a little bit more of a balance. So standing on your right leg. Let's lift the left knee. Now you can grab the front of the knee as we did before, or you can take your 2-piece fingers, wrap it around the big toe. Now watch that knee doesn't want to rock out to the side. Keep it close to the midline. You've got to really suck it in. And then if you're starting to feel it, we kick out through the heel, starting to straighten the leg. You might straighten it a lot or straighten it a little. And then just as we did before, gently rocking it out to the side. Extending it out in front. And then as you release the leg, send it back. We're going to step it all the way back to our arrowhead pose, our kind of leaning forward lunge. Beautiful. Sweep the arms forward as you step into your Utkatasana chair pose, reaching the arms up. So we're even on both feet, bending the knees here. Standing up nice and tall, float the arms down. Awesome. Let's do the other side. So standing down into the left leg. Let's lift the right knee up. Remember, you can keep this bent knee exactly as we did before. If you're feeling it, peace fingers come around the big toes and we extend out, kicking out through that heel, strong through the quad. Slowly guiding that leg out to the side, maybe challenging your balance by looking over the opposite shoulder. Bring it forward, and then with control balance, let go of that leg and send it back to your arrowhead pose. Beautiful. Standing into that front leg, let's step into our Utkatasana chair pose, reach the arms up, feeling nice and strong here. Standing up nice and tall, float the arms down, shake out any tension. Alright, we're going to do that one more time. Taking your weight down into your leg, lifting up, let it go, and shoot it back into your arrowhead. Reaching the arms up overhead, let's take our wings, cactus arms, send it forward, round the back. Bring it back, open up. Remember, you can bend or straighten the back leg, whatever feels good. Opening up, sending it forward. Opening up, sending it forward. Shoot into your arrowhead, come to Utkatasana, standing up nice and tall, soften the arms, shake it out. Let's do the other side. Picking up your toes or the knee, extending leg out nice and long, letting it go as you slowly float it back to your arrowhead pose. Sweep the arms down and forward. Let's come to our open wings and closed wings. Open through the front body, open through the back body. Opening out and closing. One more. Shooting the arms back and then stepping into your Utkatasana, our last Utkatasana. Reaching up nice and tall, float the arms down. Amazing work. Coming up high on the toes here as you reach the hands up overhead. Now just watching your stability in your ankles here. Have a look at my feet. See how my ankles are rocking out to the side? I want to keep my tops of my feet pointing forward. Let's stand up nice and tall, come up on the toes. As you lower the heels down, bend the knees so much that maybe you can gently lower yourself down to the floor. Leaning back into the hands here, nice and casual. I've got my feet about hips distance apart here. Now you might want to have them wider or more narrow, more bent knees, more straight knees, whatever feels good. Moving at just the hip joint here, let's rock the knees from side to side like we're windshield wipering our shins. Finding some movement through the hips here. And then I want to set my lower back a little bit free here, really bring the pelvis into this movement. And then we can bring our whole back into this. Notice how I can twist and take my backhand up off the floor. Bringing a little more into this, maybe that backhand that's floating lifts up and reaches around. Now I encourage you here to get a little bit creative. You can start to pick up the hips as you reach around you. Really taking a reach here. Going as fast or as slow as feels good. If you're feeling super extra, you can even lift that back knee. You can keep quite down close to the floor, really taking a long reach, a long twist, or you might want to make this super extra, as I'm doing right now, big twist, really looking over the shoulder. Find the part of your body that feels a little bit stuck and then bring this movement into that part of your body. Finishing up here, Keep the knees nice and wide. Starting to rock forward, you can grab your knees, grab your ankles, you can even wrap around here. Just kind of folding forward through the legs, kind of gazing slightly forward on the floor here. Gently releasing. Extending the legs directly out in front of you. We start in our Dandasana, so sitting up in a nice L shape here, and then reaching forward. Now you might grab your shins, you might grab your ankles, you might go for the feet. I'm going to pistol grip my toes here. Now notice I'm sitting up nice and tall here. My spine feels like a nice long line. It's really tempting to kind of hunch forward here, but I feel like we get more benefit if we sometimes practice this like we're trying to draw our chin to our big toes. So I'm strengthening my upper back here as well as lengthening through the back body. Making your way out of that version of Paschimottanasana, we're going to grab our block, lie down on the floor, knees bent. Let's lift the hips up, placing your block underneath your sacrum. Make sure you feel comfortable to let your body weight come onto that block, or you can even rest on your hands if you don't have a block handy. Taking your arms wherever they feel good, and then we're going to extend one by one, legs up into the air here. I like to have my arms in cactus arms. Now you can have your knees super bent here, kind of happy baby style. All I'm really going for is having my legs up above my heart. This is a beautiful restorative way to finish off a practice. Smoothing out your breath here, knowing we are winding down. Allowing legs to be nice and passive. Softening the face. Softening the belly. Gently stepping the feet down to the floor. Gently picking up the hips, remove your block. Rocking the knees out to the side, so the soles of our feet touch, knees rock out to the side. Now remember here, we can take our blocks, place them under our knees or under our thighs. So you can fully let your knees relax here. You can let your hips be nice and soft. I've got more range of motion than these blocks allow, but I feel better resting my knees on these blocks. Taking one hand to my belly, one hand to my heart. Taking a few moments here to focus on breathing into my hands, feeling my body expanding into my hands as I breathe in and out. Allowing the mind to slow down, body to soften, feeling supported by the floor, supported by your practice. Gently picking up the knees. Let's remove those blocks. This is an awesome time to extend the legs out, come into Shavasana. Feel free to listen to my voice, let the video play out, and take a long Shavasana. You totally deserve it. It's such an integral part of our practice. If you have somewhere to be, let's roll over to one side. Spend a moment in the fetal position. Gently press hands to the floor so you can make your way up into a comfortable seat. Spend a moment with the hands in front of the heart. Taking the time here to express my gratitude for you joining me, my gratitude for this incredible practice. Please take care of yourself, sending you heaps of love. The light in me recognizes and loves the light in you. Thank you so much.